However, Jaqk had to first find his prey. He knew that he was not far from Eid and Arajakal's last known location. After about another 6 or 7 kilometers down the deteriorating track, the dingo rattled into a small camp. There were just a few tents and some gravel-bagged gun nests. Above the temporary settlement was the banner of the Gaul Immigrant Legion. Jaqk mused, "I suppose I'll have to ask these arrogant bastards." With his skimmer in one hand and one of his auto shotgun pistols poised at the ready in the other, Jaqk disembarked from his battle-scarred vehicle and walked cautiously over to what seemed to be the command post. Some kind of battle had obviously taken place there. There were broad laser scorch marks and a scattered pile of ash and solid slag in the center of the gutted and torn tent. Jaqk wondered momentarily about whom would have attacked the Gaul. He decided summarily that almost any faction could have had sufficient motive, and that it did not really concern him. Jaqk began to loot the encampment, seeking out any useful equipment that had been abandoned. The healing supplies seemed to be missing, but there were some excellent quality tools for the dingo. Also, in a secure reinforced crate, Jaqk found a small pneumatic grenade launcher that could be strapped or mounted on the forearm. Jaqk could not interpret Gaul, so he did not know the precise nature of the spherical grenades it used, but there was 1 rose-red, 3 apple-green, and 3 marigold-orange-coloured examples in the camp. Jaqk could only speculate as to the effect of the differently coloured ballistic grenades. He cursed under his breath as he changed the chunky front wheels on his vehicle. He also seized the opportunity to examine the late brother Xox's jewellery. Jaqk was no magician, but he knew what azurium was, that twinkling blue crystal those magicians so highly revered. From what he had learned, it increased their magical influence and endurance. This teardrop of decidedly high-grade azurium was on a chain of aurorium, an incredibly rare and precious metal that reflected every hue of the spectrum. It was obviously an important item, so Jaqk placed it around his neck. It did not seem to change anything or cause him to feel any different, but he left it on anyway. There was a ring amongst the contents of one of the jewellery boxes that Jaqk had appropriated. It was a crude, beaten-up bronze ring with a roughly engraved triangular mark. Jaqk felt a sense of recklessness when he slipped it onto his hardened finger. He could take on the world now, or so it seemed. Suddenly, Jaqk came to an astounding conclusion. "I don't owe that asshole anything." And the recollection of the past few years was starkly unclouded. His mind was boiling with thoughts of hatred and vengeance. "I will find you, Zomi. That's more than 300 giz. You're gonna drag!" He concluded bitterly as he imagined vividly the oily black hair and embroidered blue and black robes of the Overlord covered in blood and dust, tethered behind the dingo by a chain, speeding remorselessly over the rocky desert. "But I am so close now." Jaqk considered, "I can kill Zomi when I return to Herzog. This ring obviously protects me from his spell. With that 750,000, I could avoid this war completely. I've heard that the ancient forests of Nefrisia are nice and scenic." So Jaqk resolved to finish his manhunt and completed his rudimentary repairs to the exterior of the 6x6 utility. Underneath the vast cerulean sky, Jaqk maneuvered his 6x6 utility through the alien landscape, leaves crunching under the tires as they ploughed through the blue foliage. The glow of his lit cigar, casting an eerie light inside the vehicle, was his only companion in the silent night. His eyes, red-rimmed from the lack of sleep, were fixed with unwavering determination on the path ahead. As the first rays of dawn began to pierce through the night, the sparse stands of pale blue trees gradually gave way to a dense forest of lurid orange palms. The sight was as fascinating as it was intimidating, a vivid testament to the planet's rich biodiversity. Suddenly, Jaqk's attention was drawn to a strange sight on the horizon. His experienced eyes narrowed, trying to discern the nature of the anomaly. "Smoke?" he muttered to himself, squinting against the brightening sky. His heart pounded in his chest as he wondered what could be the source of such a sign in this desolate land. His grip tightened on the steering wheel as he pressed on, curiosity and caution battling within him. This was not a part of his original plan, But as a seasoned hunter, he knew that ignoring such a signal could mean missing out on crucial information. Besides, he had his protective ring and his trusty dingo. With these thoughts, he steered his vehicle towards the smoke, ready to face whatever awaited him.